The same prompt, same model, two answers. Answer 1 says designed to slot into your existing stack with minimal friction and no vendor lock-in. And the answer 2 says a normal cache matches request by exact text. A small change in wording then causes a cache miss. And one of these is slop. And 2 million people just watched a thread claim that the cure is a writing standard built for aircraft mechanics in 1986. And that sounded just absurd enough that I had to shake it myself too. So I got the real standard, all 434 pages of it, dug out the rules, gave them to my model, and ran the test nobody had actually run before. And here's the output. First, the story, because the story is the reason this video exists too. A few days ago, a post went viral. An account called Joe Gristle, asking in plain words, how do I make AI write technical documentation that doesn't sound like AI? And it got over 2 million views. And then a writer called Vox picked it up and made the sharper point. He said, stop telling Cloudy no M dashes. Stop banning the word delve. And this is whack-a-mole and you lose because the model was never choosing those words on purpose. You never gave it a writing system, so it defaults to the average of the internet. And the average of the internet is slop. His fix was George Orwell's 6 Rules for Clear Writing from 1946. And then Mike Hostetler, a man whose biology says Chief Agent Officer, quote-tweeted the better answer. Just tell the model to always use ASD-ST100. Simplified technical English. A real published international standard. The 53 rules and 900-word dictionary built so that an aircraft mechanic never misreads a repair manual. Because a misread repair manual kills people. And that was the moment I fell down the rabbit hole. And one property decides the whole thing, so keep it in mind the entire way. The rules that matter are machine checkable. A dumb script can verify them, and no taste is required. Before the fix, we have to be precise about the disease. Sounds like AI is a feeling, not a definition. And you cannot fix a feeling. So the first thing I did was to try to pin slop down mechanically. And everything I kept running into collapses into 6 habits. You already know every one of them. 1. Synonym rotation. The text calls the same thing, 3 names in one paragraph. The user, the customer, and the client. You are never sure they are the same one person. 2. Hedging. Literal helper verbs stack until nothing happens. It's important to note that this may potentially help to improve. 5 verbs and 0 work. 3. Verbs frozen into nouns. Perform an analysis of instead of analyze. And provides assistance instead of help. The grammar people call it nominalization. All you need to know is that it makes sentences longer and weaker. 4. Marketing adjectives. Seamless, robust, powerful, cutting edge, words that claim quality instead of showing it. 5. Run-on sentences. 4 ideas stitched together with M dashes and semicolons when they should be 4 sentences. 6. Soft, chatty phrasal verbs. Spin up, reach out, dive into. Now here's why this list matters. Every one of these is a specific, nameable move. And anything you can name, you can ban too. Now hold that list, we are about to check it out off rule by rule. So what is this aircraft standard? Now I was obviously not around in the late 1970s, so this is a story the way my research tells it. Back then, European aerospace had a deadly problem. Maintenance manuals were written in English, but most of the mechanics reading them around the world were not native English speakers. And one misread instruction on an aircraft is a funeral, so the industry built a controlled version of English. Not a style guide, a specification, and first released in 1986. The current version, issue 9, came out in January 2025, and you can download it for free from the official site. The full document is 434 pages, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't sit down and read every single page. I dug through it and mined out the parts that matter. The rules, the dictionary, and the logic behind them. That took a while, but you will never have to open it. It has 2 parts. Part 1. Procedures. Part 2 is the part that genuinely surprised me. a dictionary of roughly 900 approved words, where every word gets exactly one meaning and one grammatical job. Now, in STE, fall only means to move down by gravity. You are not allowed to use it to mean decrease. And where English gives you 5 words for one idea, STE keeps one and deletes the rest. You get start. You do not get begin, commence, initiate, or originate. Notice what that just did. Synonym rotation. Slop habit number 1 is dead by design already. And one more number I found that tells you this thing escaped its cage. Today, 64% of the people requesting this standard are outside aerospace and defense entirely. Now watch the slop list get executed, rule by rule. This mapping is the part of the research that made me sit up. And synonym rotation, killed by rule 1.11. One name per thing, plus the one meaning dictionary. Hedging stacks, killed by rule 3.4. No complicated verb constructions. Frozen verbs, killed by rule 3.7. Use a verb for an action, not a noun. Perform an analysis is illegal. Analyze is the law. Marketing adjectives. They are simply not in the dictionary. Seamless is not an approved word. You cannot say it. Run-ons, killed by hard caps. Rule 5.1, an instruction gets at most 20 words. Rule 6.3, a descriptive sentence gets 25, and the semicolon is banned outright. Phrasal verbs, killed by rule 9.3. You remove the panel, you do not take it off. And here's the punchline. STE was never designed for AI. It was designed 40 years ago to remove ambiguity for a stressed human reader. AI slop is just ambiguity with good posture. The aerospace industry spent 4 decades engineering the cure, but for a different patient. Let me read you the real thing, not a toy example. Same model, same job. Write the intro for caching libraries README. Here's a default with no writing system. Traditional caches miss constantly in LLM workloads because users rarely phrase the same question identically. This is 1/3 word breadth, with an M dash coming, and it closes with designed to slot into your existing stack with minimal friction and no vendor lock-in. 4 marketing phrases wearing a trench coat. Now the same model with the standard loaded. A normal cache matches request by exact text. A small change in wording then causes a cache miss. Flux cache compares the meaning of a new prompt with the prompts already in the cache. Short sentences, active voice, 1 idea each. Nothing to decode at all. And my favorite result was an error message. The default version hedges and pads. You have exceeded the limit. This ensures fair access for all users. The ST version said the same thing in 41% fewer words and scored a perfect 0 on my checker. Everything it deleted was slop. Nothing it deleted was information. The gap between what you cut and what you lose is the entire game. Now, does controlled English actually work on human readers, or is this just an aesthetic I happen to like? I went to dig in for studies and there is a real evidence. I will give it to you straight, including the parts that weaken it. The strongest study I found is from 1996, by Sherbach, Dury, and Volet. They gave 175 aircraft technicians real maintenance work cards, some in regular English, some in simplified. Comprehension went from 76% to 86%. And for the non-native speakers, the people the standard was built for, it went from 69 to 87%. Now listen to that. The constraint pulled the struggling readers up to the native speaker level. Microsoft Research ran a bigger one in 2007. 520 sentences translated into Chinese, French, Dutch, and Arabic. The controlled versions beat the normal ones in every single language, and the odds of that being luck are below 1 in 1,000. And the single most effective rule in their data was cutting flowery informal phrasing, which is almost literally the definition of anti-slop. Now the honesty, those translations gains were real but small. About a tenth of a point on a 4-point scale. An Airbus study found that oversimplifying can even backfire and slow readers down. Shorter is not always clearer. And every study here measures understanding, not memory. And nobody has shown SD text is remembered better, only understood better. So use it for clarity, do not expect magic too. And here's the gap in everything I just told you. All of that evidence is about aircraft manuals and human writers. Nobody had ever tested this standard on AI output. The viral claim was a guess by analogy, so I ran it. They set up in plain words. 6 real writing jobs a developer actually does. A README, a pull request description, API docs, an error message, a getting started guide, and a depreciation notice. Each one generated 4 ways. A plain baseline. The banned words list everyone is using right now. Orwell's 6 rules, and my SDS skill. Then I wrote a linter, a small script that counts the mechanical stuff. Words per sentence, semicolons, passive voice, phrasal verbs, marketing adjectives. The score is violations per 100 words, and lower is cleaner. The results on Cloudy. The baseline scored 4.36. The banned words list 4.21. This is a 3% improvement. 3. Orwell's rules 2.48. Down 43%. And simplified technical English 1.12. Down 74%. Less than a third of the baseline slop. And buried in that data is the most damning number of the whole experiment. The banned words list did kill him dashes, 6 down to 1, because that's the one thing you told it to do. And the overall slop barrel moved. You banned the M dashes and you got a slop paragraph with no M dash in it. That's the entire mistake in one data point. But a result on one model is not a result, so I ran the whole thing again on GPT 5.5. And here's the honest part. SD still cut slop in half, minus 50%. So the core finding holds, but on GPT the banned words list actually worked, minus 40%. And Orwell tied ST there. So that brutal 3% number was a cloud quirk, not a law of nature. The two models even slop differently. Cloud slop is flashy, M dashes, seamless, long run-ons. But GPT slop is quiet, clean-looking sentences that are simply too long and too passive. Same disease, but with the different symptoms. The finding that survives both models is narrower and truer. Give the model a real writing system and slop drops by half or more. Every time on every model I tried. SD was the best or tied for best. Banning words one at a time is just a least reliable version of the right idea. One caveat, because it matters, my linter is not the full standard. The people who maintains SDA say plainly that no software can certify full compliance. Some rules need a human to judge whether a sentence makes sense or not. And they are right actually. But the judgment rules are not the slop rules. Slop is the mechanical stuff. And the mechanical stuff is 100% checkable by a script. And that idea is not even new. From what I found, Boeing has shipped a simplified English checker with a 350 rule parser since about 1990. Machine-checked writing is a solved, boring, battle-tested category. We just pointed it at a new problem. So how do I actually use this? Not by pasting 434 pages into the model. The standard is copyrighted and 900 dictionary words would burn your context for nothing. You distill it. I built a small skill file with 2 modes. Strict mode is for procedures and error messages. Anywhere a wrong reading has a cost. It gets the full rules and the hard length caps. SD flavored mode is for normal prose. It keeps the sentence discipline, the paragraph discipline, and the no phrasal verbs habit, but drops the dictionary lockdown, because a blog post needs range, not personality transplant. And some smart people think even that is too much. One engineer replied to the thread, ASD SD100 is a bit too much. I wrote a tiny whale rule set instead. 90% of the benefit. And he's not wrong, and that's the real takeaway. The standard is one option, a short checkable rule set is a product. And this product is actually Caveman, which has been already implemented a couple of months ago and people have adopted using it too. But burn this caveat in. SD fixes the form of slop, not the substance. A linter can turn a hollow paragraph into a clean, confident, a well-punctuated hollow paragraph. It cannot make it true. Slop is two problems wearing one code, bad writing and nothing to say. This fixes the first one only. So the verdict. Does a 1986 aircraft maintenance standard cure a slop? One form, yes, better than anything else I tested, and for a reason that is not an accident. Slop is ambiguity, and ST is 40 years of engineering aimed directly at ambiguity. But it will not make your writing good. Only unsloppy. And keep it away from anything that needs a voice. Running your marketing copy through STA is a torque wrench spec applied to a poem. Use it where invisible clarity is the entire job. Docs, pull requests, error messages, agent output, and nowhere else. And honestly, this standard is not even the lesson. The lesson is the thing Vox pointed at, and my numbers back up. You will not fix AI writing by banning delve one word at a time forever. You fix it by giving the model a system it can check itself against, instead of a blacklist it will always root around. Orville is a system. STE is a stricter one you can test as well. A 10-line whale config is a smaller one. Pick one, make it a test the output has to pass, and stop playing whack-a-mole. Constrain the writer and you free the reader. The aerospace industry figured that out before most of us were born. The skill, the linter, and every number from this video are linked below. This is the first video on this channel too. If this is the kind of test you want more of, you know what to do. See you in the next one.